We are here for another endurance race. It is going to be Belgium for round 7. Of course, it is on the weekend of the Belgian Grand Prix, as all of these races have been this season. And, of course, remembering the tragedy 1 year ago. And as we move through, I do believe, Mikhail, we are nearly ready to go here in this lobby.
Yeah, we're almost ready to go.
As we jump into Spa.
Yep, Spa, very, very iconic circuit, very historic, having some crazy races throughout the years. Of course, you can't forget the famous complex Al Rouge Radion, and then you have Stavelot, Blanchimont, Pouillon. There's too many iconic corners to name. And with some rain forecast tomorrow for the actual race, we'll see if there's actually going to be some rain for these guys. Some of them might be hoping for it, some of them will be praying that it stays away, but we'll wait and see.
We will wait and see. Of course, for those of you that are new, we are here for a 100% distance race here in Belgium. It is going to be the same distance the Formula 1 drivers race, of course, tomorrow, except we're doing it virtually. And the qualifying, not as long, not that full hour of full qualifying with the 3 different qualifying segments, but we have an 18-minute short qualifying for you. And we have some clear skies here in qualifying ahead of this race. And 20 drivers taking to this grid, of course. Mikhail, feel free to take us through who is racing today. I know we had a couple of drivers pull out last minute. A couple of reserves move into the grid today. Of course, the races are first come, first serve, week to week.
Yeah, we have quite a few new drivers with us, but we also have some familiar faces. Also, it looks like we have actually our first car going out on track. It's one of the Haas's. And I do believe that would be Atom first out there on the track in the number 13 Haas car. Yeah, so we have Vettel and Steph in the Racing Point, Atom and Brownie, who some of you might know from some other leagues, in those Haas cars. BTFU and Ruben in the Renaults. Of course, Yoda and Swifty in McLaren, Ben the Bear and Lutra in the Mercedes. So they'll be looking to do very well. We have Cotters and Jean in the Alfa Romeo, Liam and Crampy in the Williams squad seats, Freeware and Kana for the Alpha Tauris, Alpha and Alex Bitto for the Scuderia, hoping to do a bit better than how the Scuderia managed to do in qualifying a few hours ago. Gadwin and Finn for the Red Bull squad, and I believe that is everybody.
Yeah, a couple of very fast drivers on this grid, of course, that we've seen here over these past few weeks. Alex Bitto looks like he's got some kind of connection issue there, leaving the session. But of course, a driver that we've seen throughout league racing here on PC. Those of you that aren't unfamiliar, this is Brownie. And, of course, I'm going to really butcher this, and I certainly hope Brownie doesn't watch this later, but Leuenberger? I don't know. But, of course, a member of the Shazoo team on the grid today. Of course, Ben the Bear back on the grid for the Endurance Series as well in the Mercedes. Mick, I believe the last time we saw him in an endurance race was Austria. And I can't remember if it was the first or the second endurance race.
I believe it was for the Styrian GP, the second one.
All right.
Right on the game release. So he's been out of it for a little while. Been out of it for a few weeks, but certainly a very fast driver. And has a lot of pace, and I'm keen to see the battle that he has with some of the faster guys on this grid as well.
Yeah, Adam right now coming down through Sector 2, Mikhail in that Haas. First driver out of the pit lane. that I believe we'll see set a lap time here.
Yeah, he's just making his way through on now. Through this fast right-left chicane. Driving the car out in 4th gear. So he makes his way towards Sector 3. Going through Stavilo. Completely flat. And all he needs to do now is to pick his braking point for the bus stop chicane. It's just amazing how much downforce and how much speed these F1 cars have. There he goes, picking his braking point. A little bit of a lock up on the front right. Using all the curb available. And coming across the line, it will be a 1 minute 44 dead. Or sorry, a 1:43.999 to start us off. So technically it's a 1 minute 43.
Now next across, I believe, going to be Ruben. A 1:42.5 in the Renault.
It'll be Crampy. So what will Crampy be able to do? He goes second. The 1:43.5.
Kana.
Now coming across the line. It'll be a 42 flat for provisional pole in Lutra. The current leader of the championship in the endurance races, I believe, will have to settle for second place at the moment.
Yeah, Lutra and Alex Biddle very tight in that championship. Steph comes across 5th fastest here, and Finn behind him in 6th position. Of course, Gadwin into 6th in the other Red Bull, jumping ahead of his teammate. Now it's Ben the Bear up into P2 with, or P3, excuse me, on the mediums as Freeware. A 141.6 McCall on the soft compound tire. He's now into provisional pole position here, and we still have a variety of racers yet to set times. It's going to be Brownie now crossing the line. He is into pole position on softs. A 141.575, very tight to Freeware right now on the same compound tire. Of course, first runs for all of these racers on the grid. We'll have to check in with BTFU. He's just come out of the Kemmel Straight. He's on a flyer in the Renault, Mikal.
He's making his way towards Sector 2. And this long downhill right-hander can be very, very easy to lock that front right under braking. And very hard to get the power down as he makes his way through No Name. He has a Red Bull in front of him, it seems. Hopefully it's not going to cost him too much as he makes his way through Pruon. Runs a little bit wide there, but doesn't seem to have cost him too much. And heading into this high-speed chicane, 5th gear. Can he get the car turn around enough? Looks like he can. You see Ruben there, his teammate getting out of the way for the other banana boat car.
Yeah, one thing to note there as we jumped on with BTFU, we missed another driver jumping into the points there as John moved into 4th position. Now Alex Biddle, as I say it, a 141.150, which I do believe is faster than any of the times we saw from the Formula 1 racers on the grid today. Now BTFU coming out of the chicane in that Renault. A 142.
Yeah, 42.83 on the medium compound tire. So he is 100th behind Steph in that racing point. And just 700ths ahead of Gadwin in that Red Bull.
Yoda now in the McLaren. He's coming into that chicane at the end of the circuit, bringing all of that speed down to close. And he's going to cross the line. What's the time going to be from him? A P4 for the McLaren, a 141.920. Very nicely done.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a half spin or lost the rear end coming out of the bus stop chicane, so definitely a bit of time to find, but it certainly isn't a bad lap for the opening part of the session.
Variety of drivers now heading out on other laps, and Ben the Bear is one of them. He's in the Mercedes coming down into Sector 2 now, Mikal. And he's looking quite quick on these mediums still.
Yep. Using all the track available at the exit of No Name. We'll see. Is Puonkum flat? Not quite. But he manages to keep a lot of speed in that Mercedes. Something that we're very used to seeing in real life. But does that translate virtually? Of course, all the cars are equal performance. So technically it shouldn't make a difference, but Ben the Bear, a very, very fast driver. And he's 2 and a bit tenths up, going through the sector 2-3 split. So let's see what lap he's able to string together in this final sector striff.
Yeah, definitely equal cars, Mikau, as that Ferrari's on the end of the spectrum compared to what we saw earlier today. Of course, his teammate, on the other hand, closer to the reality, as Alpha hasn't had the opportunity to set a lap. But Ben the Bear improved by 4/10, Mikau, as he crosses the line once again on those mediums. A 141.7 on that harder compound tire. Quite rapid coming out of the Thai driver. Meanwhile, a couple drivers leaving the pit lane behind him. That is a Racing Point and McLaren. Jump on with the Ferrari of Alpha, looking to finish out a hot lap. Currently just about to head through the Sector 2-3 split.
Let's see what kind of exit he's able to get out of Stavolo. Managed to hold the speed very, very well. So we'll see what he's able to do. This section of track, you just want to be scrubbing off as little speed as you possibly can. Just using all the track available. Probably has a little bit more to offer, does the Ferrari driver, but we'll see how he manages to take this final chicane, and he's going to the pits.
Well, that's one way to take the final chicane, I guess.
That's one strategy.
Luke, meanwhile, in the other Mercedes, all the way from Cyprus, competing today, and he's had an issue, and ooh, a big bash into the left-hand wall there, and he has most definitely cost himself a better time. Meanwhile, Steph flying up Eau Rouge, and just look at how quick and intense that section of circuit really is as we move down the Kemmel Straight now.
It's absolutely thrilling. Yeah, it's thrilling. It's scary how fast the cars go around there. God forbid if you're trying to overtake someone like Mark Webber did on Alonso just under 10 years ago now. I believe it was 2011. Nevertheless, Steph here seems to be on a pretty decent lap at the moment, as Finn has actually crashed at the top of Radion. So he will have to settle for that 1 minute 43.4, and Freeway's out of the session as well at the end of Lecom.
Couple drivers struggling here. Not entirely sure what went down.
That is one thing with Spa. You can't really relax here. It might be very high speed and lots of flat out sections, but one little mistake, you're just going at such speed that one little mistake, if you hit the barrier, that's normally a race over. Let's see what Steph's able to do. Currently sitting with a 42.8, and he's going into the pits.
Really making me feel bad here, jumping on with all these drivers, and they keep jumping into the pits, Mikau. Come on, guys. The Williams of Liam, though, looks like he's going to be finishing out a lap. Perhaps an improvement for him. Coming through that bus stop chicane.
He misses the pit lane. It's a good sign. What time's it going to be? It's going to be third for the Williams. 1 minute 41.604. 300ths behind Brownie in that Haas car, who was also actually finishing up a lap coming through Blanchimont right now. It's the bus stop chicane. See what he's able to do. Can he get close to Alex Bitto's time? He can get very close to it, and
I'd say he did. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 milliseconds. I'd say that's pretty close.
Yeah, very close. What a nice time.
Could be better. Could be better. Could halve that gap even further, but
now
I'll accept that.
Is that a mic drop, do you think, or is that just like a gentle nudge and say, hey, how you doing? You know, because Brownie, I'm gonna be calling him Brownie all race, although that's not the name we have online right now. But I feel like that may have just been Brownie poking the Spaniard there in the Ferrari. That's Alex Bitto, of course, who's won a couple of races around the Endurance Series.
Well, he's actually finishing his lap now. Can he beat it? And he can. He can respond. He improves by 700ths, but that's all he needs. A 141.08. And it is game on for those two.
We'll see if Liam will be able to put anything further up to that. down the line. Of course, Alex Bitto in that Ferrari going to be very happy with that. Ruben now.
Another one who to watch for that playing field is Ben the Bear, who will be starting his lap shortly on a set of softs. We've seen him set a few laps on the mediums, and he's got a 41.7 on them. So he's got some serious pace in that Mercedes.
Yeah, they'll be beginning laps. It's Alpha SH, who we saw not able to set a lap time earlier, running a little wide there coming down the hill.
Yep, kind of the only driver yet to set a time. Vettel with a 2-minute 26 there in 19th. So something must have definitely gone wrong on that lap. There still is about 4 minutes left in the session for these drivers, so still a bit of time.
We'll jump on board with Vettel when we get an opportunity as we look with Alpha to finish out this lap. Of course, Vettel in the racing point. Curious to see. I want to jump on over there. Maybe you can do some searching for me there, Mikal. Is he in Sergio's car today? That'd be very interesting to see, as he is, of course, from Mexico. Well, then that is just fantastic. So we have Vettel, aptly named after a German, who is from Mexico, driving a Mexican car. Lovely. Hope he can do well. Alpha, a 144.1. And the Bear on a lap now.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty decent one so far. He's carrying a lot of speed. Wow, through that sector 2, he's 7/10 up. He's going to be right there in the thick of it with Brownie and Alex Bitto.
Well, the chat's calling it, Mikal. They're saying it's going to be a sub 141 here.
We're going to see a sub 141. Well, he has to nail this final chicane. He's run out of deployment, though, heading into that chicane. So let's see what he's able to do. Hugging that right-hand side. And it is 1 minute 40.906.
That was the mic drop.
Hey, that's the mic drop. Like, I am still here, guys. You got to worry about me as well.
Kana
I don't think
in P8 right now on the grid. Mikal currently flying down to Radion. Or not Radion, excuse me, at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Lacombe.
And that's in the grass now.
Well, the spectator's curse and my inability to name the turn properly have now cost Kana dearly. My apologies. Steph, meanwhile, on board once again with the Racing Point, moving through. Just heading into Sector 3. It appears it just may be an in lap. Currently down on time.
And it doesn't look like he's going to be improving. He's certainly using a lot of that battery. We'll see what he opts to do. Have a two McLaren starting a lap just ahead of him. And he goes into the pits.
Well, for those of you just tuning in, of course, we have a ton of drivers about to set laps here. Gadwin crossing the line. He improves by 4/10, but it's not enough to move him out of 14th position on the grid. Things are tightening up, but of course, if you're just tuning in, it is the Belgian Grand Prix, 100% distance racing action. Damage is enabled, which you can tell because there are two drivers, perhaps two drivers in Finn and Freeway that did retire here in qualifying. One of them did happen to retire coming out of a Rouge, but of course, grab your friends, grab your family, grab anybody who is a racing fan, because we're about to have a serious scrap for the win of this race right now. You can see the gaps currently held in qualifying from first down into 8th position, less than a second. And of course, the gaps between the top three, less than 3/10. So we're going to see some very intense battling here.
Yeah, and while you were introducing some of the viewers that might be new to the stream, Vettel was able to come across the line with a 141.4 to jump that Racing Point into 4th position. So he's done well for himself. But all eyes are firmly fixed on this duo of Brownie and Alex Bitto. They have both now just started their final flying laps for the session, as the checker flag is going to drop any minute now. Alex Bitto making his way through our Rouge and Radion. Very, very nice and tidy. DRS open. He's got a Renault ahead of him. I do believe that is a BTFU also on a lap at the moment, so maybe a little bit of a tow. I don't know if it was quite close enough for that, but we'll see as Yoda matches Brownie's current time with a 1 minute 41.148. So this is going to be a very, very tight, sharp end of the grid strip. I can't wait to see what time these guys can do on their final runs.
I'm extremely excited. Alex Bido coming through Sector 2 right now. Some of the viewers may be wondering, I see a lot of these drivers going a little wider than normal in some of the league racing action that we would normally host here on the Misfits Racing League Twitch, but of course, these endurance races, for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to view one just yet, are regular corner cutting. Because, well, it is a very long race, and this gives the drivers the opportunity to take some of the lines that we see Formula 1 racers take on a regular basis. Of course, Alex Bido utilizing that Yoda. As I say, of course, Yoda into P3 there, Mikau, in the McLaren. Alex Bido in P2 right now is about to come through the chicane, and it's Brownie not too far behind him.
Let's see what Alex Bido can do. Can he find the 10th that he needs? No, he can't. He will stay in second, but he will improve to a 1:41.006. What is Brownie able to do? He's able to jump him, go into the 1 minute 40s along with Ben the Bear, 1 minute 40.986.
Take a picture, ladies and gentlemen, because you have less than a 10th. Oh, man. Challenge has been set, Mikau. Oh, my God.
And with Liam going into the pits, that will be your grid. Your grid, sorry. Yeah.
0.099 right now from third to first. And of course, it's going to be Ben the Bear, Brownie, and Alex Bido, your top three racers here in qualifying. Yoda currently 2/10 off there in fourth. Of course, Vettel in fifth, Liam in sixth, Freeware in seventh, BTFU in eighth position, with Kana in ninth, and John rounding out your top 10 here. Of course, we'll go down the grid once again once we jump out of the qualifying session. But what a lap from Ben, that 140.9, and of course Brownie, that 140.986. You see Alex Bido missing it by 7 milliseconds into that 140 range. This is going to be very, very intense. Of course, guys, be sure to share that link. Get your friends in here. Tell them that Belgium is happening early, because these guys are about to put some fireworks on display. It is Ben the Bear on pole position. Shazoo Lundberger, or Brownie, as many may know him, of course, a streamer as well, in P2, making his MRL Endurance Racing debut, with Alex Bido in third, Yoda in fourth, Vettel in fifth, Liam in sixth, that's Freeware in seventh, BTFU in eighth, with Kana in ninth, and John rounding out your top 10. Then, of course, Luktra, Swifty, Ruben, Crampy, and Steph rounding out through into 15th position, and we will go through the rest of these drivers on the formation lap ahead of this Belgian Grand Prix. Of course, what is the weather going to be like throughout this race, Mikal? Do we have any kind of official weather report?
It's kind of dry for the start of the race, but I've heard there could be a chance of rain at the end. We'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, just going through the rest of the grid, it'll be Gadwin in 16th, Atom in that Haas in 17th, Finn in 18th, Cotters representing the Australians and down in 19th, and Alpha in the other Ferrari rounding off the rear of the grid. So there are definitely some very, very close pockets of times as we saw in qualifying. So I think we'll be in for a cracking race.
I think so as well, Mikal. It's going to be very intense as we get away on this formation lap in just a few moments' time. All of these drivers getting their setups dialed in. You can see the pit stop strategy there on screen. Soft, medium, soft, medium, the two proposed strategies. 17 out of these 20 drivers on the grid all opting for the soft compound tire. You see 3 drivers on harder compound tires, and it's only Luktra on the hards, with Swifty and Cotters on the mediums. Of course, Ben the Bear on pole position here. It's going to be Gadwin in 16th position in the Red Bull, with Adam in 17th, Finn partnering Gadwin in 18th, of course Cotters in 19th, and Alpha SH rounding out this grid right now in 20th for the Scuderia. It's Ben on pole, with Brownie not far behind him in second, and Alex Bido there in third, and they were a 10th apart here in the qualifying, Mikau, and now that we know that rain is on the horizon, this race is going to be absolutely wild.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. Not entirely sure when the clouds will come, but there is definitely a patch of weather on its way to the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. You know, we are in the Ardennes, of course, so the weather can change at a moment's notice. Something for the drivers to be aware of as they just make their way around the circuit for their formation lap ahead of 44 laps around the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Not as many laps as we're probably used to seeing, but it is a very, very long lap. I think it's just over 7 kilometers, if my memory serves me right.
It is quite the long circuit, one of the longest circuits on the calendar this, well, in Formula 1. Of course, for those of you in the chat, we'd love to know, who are you eyeing for a race win here around the iconic Spa? Let us know in the chat. We're always looking to see the predictions here, as of course it's Ben on pole, Jazoo Lundberger, excuse me, in second, and I know I'm guaranteed butchering that name, but of course Alex Bitto in third position, and these guys are going to have a huge race down here, and it looks like Vettel having an issue there in the formation lap, spinning around, but he'll be last to the grid. Yeah, a very unique strategy to get his tires warmed up.
He's just wearing them in. But yeah, I don't know if Ben really wants to be on pole, because if any track you don't want to be on pole position, this would be the one to get that insane slipstream and tow up the up Rouge Radion and the Camel Straight. But all the drivers just making their way to their grid slots now as we are about to begin this race.
Take us away, Mikau, here. 5 red lights.
The lights go out. We wait for the drivers to rev their engines. To the timing desync in spectator, and the lights are out, and away they go. Looks like a pretty decent start from most of the grid here. Looks like Swifty, they're getting a great launch in the midfield, but Ben the Bear leads them into La Source. Looks like Brownie being pushed out a little wide there. See if one of the Renaults going off track.
It's Brownie, Vettel, wheel to wheel.
Brownie and Vettel going up by Rouge. Vettel yields. It looks like Brownie has had a less than ideal start there, as has Yoda dropping down to 5th place. Looks like Freewell will be following that train as they make their way down the Camel Straight, trying to use that tow to great effect. Looks like no one's going for a dive straight away. Looking a bit further down the grid, it looks like we have BTFU and Steph going wheel to wheel. Looks like Steph will actually make that pass in going through Les Combes. So BTFU now down into 12th position. And it looks like, yeah, pretty clean start for most of these drivers. Looks like Kana and Ruben having a little bit of an issue, falling a bit behind the train. But a very, very clean start to this race, Drift.
It's been a very wild start as well. Of course, I was checking back through the rear of this grid, making sure that everyone got through cleanly up coming out of Eau Rouge. And of course, everybody has gotten away cleanly here. We have 20 drivers clean here on the opening lap, no safety car deployed, and that is what you like to see. And we've had a fantastic exchange of position right now. Alex Bitto into 2nd position right now, getting ahead of the Haas, and they're going to continue to battle throughout this race, I imagine. Now, as I said it, we have a yellow flag in sectors 2 and 3. Who is that? It looks like Finn and perhaps Alpha, or maybe even Ruben. We're going to have to take a look there. It looks like that Ferrari has a good chunk of damage. We'll take a look at the Renault. Now gaining time on the Red Bull, but we're going to move back up this field, Mikau, as there's tons of battling all over the place. BTFU on the rear of Steph. They're coming through the chicane right now, and we're going to have to switch away from this soon, as I imagine there's going to be some volleying for position at the front of this field as well. Yoda very close to the rear of Vettel.
Yeah, Yoda is certainly trying to keep with this DRS train, with this front pack. Ben the Bear having an amazing first lap, already pulling 1.1 seconds, so he's already broken out of that DRS range from Alex Bitto. And Alex is also trying to pull away as well. Looks like Brownie struggling to get those tires really up to temperature, as Yoda is looking down the inside of Vettel, heading into Les Combes. He's a bit later on the brakes. What, is he able to get the car stopped off enough? No, it looks like Vettel is still wheel to wheel making their way through that section of circuit, but it looks like Yoda will actually get that position in freeware, trying to take advantage as well into the long right-hander.
Yeah.
Vettel will hold on to that place for time being.
Vettel not happy about that cheeky move there from the German, trying to move through there, take advantage. Holding position in 5th, but that's Yoda into 4th.
And all this fighting means that that train that's now being led by Yoda has lost DRS ranges as Williams off at Pouon. I believe that's Crampy having an off there at Pouon. So a few drivers already flee the wrath that is Spa-Francorchamps. Yeah, it's Ben the Bear. We'll see down this midfield. This massive train, Vettel. And Vettel's had a massive off. He's gone straight into the wall at Radeon. And that is a massive, massive incident. And we have our first safety car of the race, Striff.
Very unfortunate there, Mikal, as I had a bit of an audio issue once again. Of course, Vettel now first driver out here in this race. Safety car deployed on lap 3. We got through 2 laps of fairly clean racing, and now this grid is going to tighten up once again. Curious to see what these drivers are going to do when it comes time to cross through by that pit entry. What do you think is going to happen here for tires, Mick?
Oh, I think we won't see too many of them pit. I'm sure they don't want to give up that track position, especially this early in the race. But you never know. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure how long the hards or mediums can last around here. But if it's anything like last game, it's a long time.
Yeah, I remember the mediums also had quite the long life as well. I know that was in 50% distance racing. Tires here not as big of an issue as, of course, the racing we saw earlier this week around Spain, where, of course, Spain shreds your soft compound tires almost immediately. Now it's Ruben in the Renault. He has now taken a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car conditions, which is extremely unfortunate. Very important to keep that delta slowed down until the leader catches the safety car, of course. Then you are welcome to catch the queue. But it's going to be Ben the Bear opting to stay out on these soft compound tires, and it's, as you said, Mikal, they can last for some time. So I guess that is going to be the call for the majority of these racers.
Yeah, but this safety car really doesn't help Ben the Bear. He was pulling away from the guys behind, as was Alex Bitto, as they both were able to get out of DRS range within the first 2 laps. But with this safety car, they're going to be all bunched up once again.
Yeah, one thing
to
note.
A full reset.
One thing to note, Mikal. Adam, Cotters, and Ruben have all stopped so far in this race, and now it's Alpha SH into the pit lane as well. We'll take a look at the position changes here in this one. Alex Bitto and Brownie have exchanged at the front of this grid. Of course, Brownie there in the Haas and P3 did start on the front row. Now it's Alex moving up 1 slot. Freeware's made up 2 positions, as has John up 3, with Swifty up 4. And you have Steph there having a good race in the Racing Point. He's up 6 positions. Of course, now he's the only Racing Point in this fight. Very sad to see Vettel out of this one. Of course, BTFU there, down a couple of positions, not having the best race start through the first couple of laps. Of course, now he's having an option to strike again. That's Gadwin there in 11th. He's having a great race, and as we've seen, he took a podium this previous week in Spain, and it was a great drive from him in that one. So hopefully we'll see some more fireworks coming out of the Finn here. He's up 5 slots so far. Luktra's down a slot. He started where Gadwin is now. So perhaps we'll see some battling between those two come safety car restart. Of course, Crampy has held his position there in 14th with Finn up 3, Adam up 1, and Cotter's up 2, as well as Alpha SH there in the Ferrari, who did start in the rear of this grid in 20th position. And Ruben down 6 positions and now has a drive-through penalty to serve at the start of green flag running mix. So quite the amount of changes here throughout this one.
Yeah, we've seen a few overtakes. Steph there actually getting a great start as well as Swifty. I saw Swifty just get an amazing launch off the line, getting 2 drivers before making it into La Source, which is turn 1, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with some of the corner names. But yeah, just making their way around the safety car, trying to keep those tyres in that working range. Curious to see how Lutra goes off this restart, because he had the opportunity to warm up the tyres enough on the formation lap, and it doesn't seem to have cost him too much being on that 2-step harder rubber. But a safety car restart is a rolling start can be quite a different story there, Striff.
Oh, it definitely can, as of course something that we've known a little bit about throughout our virtual commentary careers, if you will, is how safety cars have the natural ability to, well, create more safety cars. And that is, I think, truer here than perhaps anywhere else, as we have these cues and these differences in, well, throttle application at the start of these rolling restarts. And going through up that Eau Rouge section, up the hill, I've seen that get quite tricky, especially in wheel-to-wheel cases. Of course, we saw Brownie and Vettel come wheel-to-wheel on the opening lap up into Eau Rouge, and we saw the Racing Point kind of dip in behind the rear of that Haas, because going wheel-to-wheel double wide through there isn't, well, that's a recipe for disaster if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, you might be able to do it in some of the thinner cars, but in these wider modern F1 cars, it's virtually impossible to go up there and keep the speed, plus not put it in the wall, as we've seen so many drivers do over the years. So yeah, all these drivers have survived the first start of the race. They'll now have to survive the second start of the race.
That is right. And of course, for those of you that are new to the stream this evening, my name is Striffium. Joining me from down under is Mikau, and of course, we are here with the 100% distance endurance series of the Misfits Racing League, and it's round 7, the Belgian Grand Prix. Of course, we do this every Saturday during Formula 1 weekends, and we have tons of regular league racing throughout the week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, of course. So if you're looking for more wheel-to-wheel league racing action, be sure to hit that follow button, and we greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. This is for you, as the safety car has now decided it's time, Mikau.
Yeah, safety car is in this lap, so Ben the Bear in that Mercedes will be leading the pace of the field. But I was talking about the hard tires a little bit earlier, Striffium, and Lucha's actually had a spin somewhere, so he's now at the back of the grid. Not where he wants to be, I'm sure.
No, definitely
not. He does have some decent pace, as Ben is away fairly early, actually. Might have caught some of these drivers off guard.
Well,
but he is away, and we will be green flag running once he crosses that timing line, which will be right about now. So the yellow flags have been lifted. We are racing once again, ladies and gentlemen, and looks like it's pretty spread out at the top of the grid, if I'm not going to lie.
I think it's extremely spread out here, Mikau, as Ben the Bear had an absolute rocket launch on this restart, and he let that safety car get so far ahead that he was absolutely full throttle through Sector 3 right now. Yoda currently the closest driver to the Haas of Brownie in P3, and that is Brownie currently a second and a half at the rear of the Spaniard in P2, coming down this Kemmel straight. And the reason being is Biddo was able to pick up on Ben's start very quick, and I think he got lucky there, because Ben usually quite the mischievous one on these safety car restarts. But we have a ton of action going through this grid right now. Kana and Gadwin are in a battle. Gadwin looking to hold on to P11, where we saw him start this restart. If start the restart, Mikkel. Half a second is the gap.
Yeah, there's also quite the close gaps towards the front of the grid between Freeware, Yoda, and Brownie, as Lucha will pick up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. So he's not happy after that. Those 2 spins that he seems to have had since he's fallen off again. And there's an Alfa Romeo off at Puon. That's Cotter's. So Cotter's getting all out of shape. Doesn't look like he's got any damage on that front wing. But certainly is less than ideal for the Australian.
Well, this grid went from being unbelievably tight, and it's now spaced itself out quite well here on lap 6 now, as Ben crosses the line. Lap 7, excuse me, as he crosses the line with the fastest lap of 146.1 thus far on the soft compound tires. And he's pulled away a second already on on Alex Bitto. So
yeah, so that's where we started.
Pulling away now, and it's Brownie who was very close with Alex before that safety car came in. And of course, it is a very long race here in Spa, and there is always opportunities.
Yeah, well, these drivers now just trying to keep it focused and not end their race through this very, very high speed circuit, which can be quite challenging just because it is at such high speed. Also, a lot of downforce produced at these high speeds, but even still, we've seen Vettel already have an issue going up the hill. All it takes is one mistake going up there to end your race completely.
It's very early, Mick. It's very early. We still have 19 drivers on this grid, which realistically means that is a 19 times however many laps left possibility of a crash. And this circuit, as of course we know, considering the occasion, can be quite unforgiving.
My quick maths drift says that there is 30... I want to say that there's 33 laps left, maybe? I don't know.
37, 36, I don't know. We're somewhere in that range. Anyway, Kana making the move on Gadwin into P11 Mikau as well in that Alpha Tauri, getting ahead of the Red Bull. Of course, Gadwin has shown through his, I'm going to say career with us here at MRL. He is extremely patient at the wheel in that Red Bull, which is what we're used to seeing him in, of course. And he took a P3 with patience paying off this past Thursday. Of course, there's small gaps starting to form now, or, well, starting to close in, I guess you could say. Adam currently less than half a second at the rear of Finn, and Crampy is now caught up with Gadwin somewhat as well. And things are still quite tight at the front. Brownie leading a train with a McLaren car and a Alpha Tauri car as the caboose at the moment.
Yeah, this three-way battle for the final podium spot is shaping up to be a good one. Of course, DRS now has been enabled as we're on lap 8 of 44. So it's taken us a little while to get here, but I'm glad it's here nonetheless.
Finn right now struggling, and that is only going to give Adam an opportunity to reel him in. Of course, Adam on the medium compound tires right now, and it appears Finn is starting to struggle on his red ring softs.
Yeah, Adam is all over the rear of that Red Bull in that battle, and we have Brownie. Brownie's out.
What happened with
had
him?
An issue at Stavolo, and Freeware picking up a 5-second tire penalty for a severe collision with the Haas. So that is massive, massive news.
No, that's not something that you like to see. Of course, Brownie, one of the favorites for a serious podium contention here in this race, he's out. And I don't think anybody would have guessed him to be on the, the DNF list today. And I imagine not too impressed is the German, as... Well, that's just wild. VSC back to green flag running.
And Ben the Bear has opted to pit under the virtual safety car to go onto a set of medium tires. So Alex Bitto will now take lead of this race. Yoda, some 3 seconds behind him, and John now into a podium place, 4 seconds behind the McLaren. That's Yoda's teammate in 4th place at the moment on those 8 lap old medium tires, Striff.
Yeah, very good strategy from him right now on those medium compound tires. He's stuck it out. He's into P4 now. There's been a variety of pit stops, and this is going to be a very tall order for these drivers to climb through this grid. But speaking of climbing through this grid, it's Ben the Bear who slotted out in 8th position on these medium compound tires right now. He is looking to chop through this grid as quickly as he can to get back into the lead of this race. Now, a driver who didn't pit, Alex Bido, currently running in first in that Ferrari, and we'll see how long he's going to stretch out those softs. Right now it's Kana defending Ben still, and there's a variety of different battles happening throughout this grid.
Yeah, Steph had made just a beautiful, beautiful move around the outside of Swifty, heading towards the Lake Com section. So he's now up into that 4th place and trying to pull away, make a gap, and Ben is very, very tight to Kana. Like we were saying before, Kana goes a little bit wide. That's going to open the door completely for Ben, heading through Stavilo. And that is a fairly easy move, if I do say so myself. Still have to hold your breath for that one, going through Stavilo at such speed and offline. But he was able to make it stick, so he's now up into 7th place after making that pit stop under the virtual safety car.
Meanwhile, BTFU less than half a second between him and the McLaren ahead of Swifty. Swifty, of course, on those medium compound tires right now. Same tire life as BT. But, of course, you have that pace difference. But Swifty right now absolutely hunting down Steph coming up through Eau Rouge.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about that overtake the previous lap. Overtake mode on DRS wide open. You can just see the extra speed that he has. It's going to be a no contest for the McLaren. The BT's gaining on them as well, but isn't quite close enough to make a lunge on that racing point. And meanwhile, a bit further back as well, there's a battle for the final points place as well, Striffy, and that's Adam going around the outside, heading into Lake Com, and he's able to make that move stick. Liam right behind the two of them as well in 12th. Seems to be wrestling the wheel a little bit, but no contact between those guys as of yet.
Yeah, it's very tight action back here in this fight for that final points running position in 10th, of course, in that Haas has Finn and Liam so close behind him. Meanwhile, we have BTFU still quite tight with Steph now. We saw him want to get the move done on the straight, and now it looks like we've had a yellow flag pop up through Sector 2 there. And the Bear is now interrupting this party of BTFU because he's caught up. And he is gaining rapidly on this train that has formed. BTFU looking at the racing point. Is he going to get the move here? Very tight. Is he going to get slotted in wheel to wheel? Is he going to go for a lunge? He looks like it's going to go on the inside. And he doesn't get it. Steph closing the door. Swifty decides to go. Well, something's happened there. I don't know what's caused it. Luktra is out of this race, Mikal. And now there's a big issue here. Ben the Bear and Steph have come together. A major amount of debris. Not entirely sure what's happened. Perhaps they had to exchange positions or something when the safety car came out. But that is going to cause some drama. Because now it's Steph and Ben the Bear. Ben the Bear has damage. A severe amount of it on that front left wing. And he is onto fresh medium compound tires.
That is the last thing that our pole sitter wanted. So after 10 laps of this race, we're a quarter of the way through the race, and there's already been so much drama, so much action. And the rain hasn't even come yet. Well, there's still a few clouds in the sky, but the rain hasn't made its presence known just yet. Not quite sure when it'll be coming.
One thing to talk about is the fact that Alex Bido had the opportunity to get ahead of this safety car here, which means this entire grid's going to have an opportunity come into the pit lane and just reset those tires. And we could see Ben come in for a wing change and maybe switch to a different set for now. Could see him go on some hards and maybe pull this set back out later. But now we've had two full safety cars here. We're only a quarter through this race. And, well, we've had the fireworks, but maybe not in the way we've liked. We have 3 drivers out and 75% of this race to go still.
I wasn't aware that fireworks were made of carbon fiber strip, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean, Mikal. There's a car at well, there's a car in Eau Rouge, at the exit of Eau Rouge in Radeon, and well, where did Luxor lose it? I think he lost it at the end of the Camel Straight.
Lake Com.
Yeah.
There's a car at Lake Com. And there's also a car at the corner just before the start of Sector 3. So it looks like Alex Bitter opting to go into the pits, as does Yoda, as does Jean, as does Steph, and Ben as well. So if the Delta's kind to him, Atom could come out in the lead of this race, maybe.
Oh, and Steph has just stepped in it, hasn't he? He's taken a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane now. And I believe he took a penalty for coming together with Ben. So they're both sitting in the pit lane right now, serving some stop-and-go penalties. Who's going to come out ahead? I think it might be Steph, just by a hair here.
And yes, he will get ahead of that Mercedes. Alex Bitter able to maintain his race lead after that pit stop. Yoda was able to follow him out as well. Atom now into P3 for the Haas. Liam close behind him in 4th. Jean in 5th for that Alfa Romeo squad. Swifty in 6th. BTFU now in 7th. Interesting to note that Swifty has actually opted for the hard compound tires. So he's definitely looking to go to the end of this race. I'm pretty sure the mediums can make it to the end from here. But he, of course, as he started on that medium set, he wouldn't be able to fulfill the 2 tire compound rule. But yeah, BTFU in 7th place on a fresh set of mediums. Kana as well behind him on fresh set of mediums as well in the Alpha Tauri. Alpha in 9th for the Scuderia on those older hard compound tires. Only 7 laps, so they'll be still have lots of life left in them. And Gadwin currently in that final points paying position.
Yeah, it's been very intense here so far, and Adam, I imagine there's a couple of Haas boys, they're going to be happy to see a driver like Adam in P3 right now. Of course, Crampy, one of the dynamic duo that I'm referring to in the Williams right now, but even I'm sure he'll be happy about it looking back later on. Max Singster, not on the grid today, I imagine, will be happy as well. Currently in 3rd on 8-lap-old mediums. Doing quite well, considering up 14 positions. Of course, it is Alex Bitto leading this race still here after we saw Ben come into the pit lane. And it appears that it was the right call for Alex Bitto to stay out, as he is now back into some fresh rubber on these medium compound tires.
And a safety car has been called in, Striff, and I'm seeing a few clouds. Kana having a coming together with Alpha.
Those clouds have come in so quickly, Mikau. I want to say it was still sunny outside when we began this lap. Of course, those just tuning in, we have rain on the horizon.
The clouds certainly indicate that. But nevertheless, we are off once again. Alex Bitto putting the pedal to the metal, as there's some more collisions going through the bus stop as well. And Yoda, he's had a spin. He's had a half spin, so now Atom is going past into that 2nd place. Liam looking up the inside into La Source. And Yoda's gotten absolutely mugged off this safety car restart. And Alex Bitter already 2 seconds ahead, Striff.
Oh, and we're seeing
Liam
what we didn't want to see. Oh, wheel to
Liam
wheel.
and Adam going side by side up through Al Rouge and Radion. Looks like Liam will hold on to that position. Atom very, very close behind as well. Overtake mode is on for all 4 of these drivers in this train. Swifty a little bit too far to make William move out of it. Adam looking for another attempt down at the inside heading into Lake Com. Liam putting up a very, very nice defense there. As does Yoda on Jean in that Alfa Romeo behind him. But what a horrible, horrible restart for the Albanian. Just all the way down to 4th place after he was looking so good on those fresh set. Looking to stay with Alex Bitto in that DRS. And Alex Bitto already pulling away by 3.5 seconds almost.
Yeah, and you can see here Alex Bitto, of course, he brought that safety car queue all the way through into that final chicane before he really kind of let go. And he had a great launch out of there. He's currently 3.5 seconds ahead of P2 right now, and we just saw Swifty with a very, very sneaky overtake. Kana now moving ahead of the McLaren into 7th position. This has just been absolutely crazy racing, and this grid has bunched back up into what we saw at the start of this race. Just so much pace from a lot of these drivers. Now it's the Ferrari of Alpha off, just brushing into that gravel trap on the left-hand side. And it looks like Freeware has had a major issue in that Alpha Tauri right now, missing a lot of that front right wing in that car, so he's not going to be too pleased about that. Meanwhile, we still have so much battling here on circuit. There's going to be, I imagine, an exchange coming soon for podium positions, and the big question is, when is the rain going to start to fall, and how is it going to affect this race? Of course, if you're just tuning in, grab your friends, because the rain is about to arrive.
Well, the clouds certainly make it feel like the rain's about to arrive. But no drops just as of yet. Yoda using all of that battery going up our Rouge and Radion. He's going to get this move done on the Camel straight. Has he got the overspeed that he needs? Looks like he's gotten that pass back into the podium places.
Meanwhile, it's Ben the Bear coming through. He's made the move ahead of Swifty. Is he going to get Gadwin? He's wheel to wheel coming through into the right-hander. It's still wheel to wheel coming through, and the Mercedes is still so tight on the inside now. Gadwin giving him some space there, making the move through. Very neatly done from Ben. They're now into P8 in the Mercedes. Very, very good.
You know, Ruben as well, chasing down Swifty. Swifty struggling to get those hards up to temperature against these mediums. These 9-volt mediums looking down the inside of the next right-hander. They're still side by side. Can he keep the move down? No, Swifty defends very, very well. Closing the door just at the nearest opportunity he's able to. Let's see the amount of traction he's able to get out of Stavilo. It's not going to be enough. Ruben and Swifty now wheel to wheel. They're making their way down towards Blanchimont, and it looks like Ruben has made that move stick down the back straight.
Very nicely done from him. Very patient now. DRS is enabled. Of course, Crampy on the rear of Finn coming through the final chicane of the circuit. Couple driver. That's Swifty opting to jump into the pit lane, McCown. What is the call going to be for him in that McLaren?
Must be medium. Must be medium, surely. Those hards have fallen, allowed him to fall like a stone. But DRS has been re-enabled. Looks like Jean is eyeing up that Haas of Atom. DRS an overtake. Absolutely soaring past. And BTFU has a lot of speed in the runner behind him as well. Is he going to be able to make a dive on the Haas? It doesn't look like it. But that will be Jean up another place as Crampy. Will also get the move done on Finn, maybe. He has the outside. And yes, he will get that move done for P11 as well.
Cotter's very tight to the rear of that Red Bull as well, and I think it's not going to be long before we see a move from him. Currently less than half a second is the gap, and of course Crampy getting ahead of Finn, kind of...
Oh, Adam! Adam's lost it at Puon!
Oh no, the Haas, who is performing so well here, up so many positions, losing it. Of course, trying to get that car back under control. No damage, which is extremely fortunate, but considering how tight this grid has been, looks like Cotter's also doing the exact same thing, McCown. Cotters was in a good position to perhaps get ahead of Adam there, but couldn't quite make it round. And right now, Finn still within a second of Crampy. Meanwhile, further up the grid, Ben the Bear in P7. Less than half a second between him and Kana ahead.
Yeah, just Adam just got a little bit out of shape. The rear end started to slide as he made his way through Puon. And he just couldn't catch it in time, and around he went. Fortunately, no wing damage for the Haas driver, but certainly those tires are going to be screaming from all the heat.
Yeah, and the Bear overtaking full swing right now as we head into Eau Rouge. Kana is going to have DRS on BT, which is going to give him an opportunity to defend here against the Mercedes, but of course DRS now for Ben. Who's closer? I think Kana is just a little bit closer to BT than Ben is to him, and we see now, is Kana going to have enough of an opportunity? No, most definitely not. Still not able to pull the trigger on that Renault ahead, as Yoda is still half a second within Liam. Of course, Yoda on a little bit fresher rubber here.
Yeah, that gap's still hovering around that 5/10. Ben the Bear has been able to close up again towards the 6th place AlphaTauri through the middle sector, but it doesn't look like he's be close enough to make a move just yet. But it looks like the grid is sort of started to spread out a little bit. We have a few pockets of drivers as Finn actually goes around at Puon as well. So lots of drivers are struggling to keep the car under control through that fast downhill left-hander.
Well, as you said that, it was Kana getting his tires in the gravel a little bit there and having a big weave. Now it's Ben looking for the overtake round the outside of the AlphaTauri.
Wow. So he will move up another place into 6th. Kana just getting a little bit out of shape there, heading into Sector 3. He has a little bit of a slide as well out of the bus stop. But that has Ben the Bear now up into a position, and that Renault of BTFU is now his next target, Striff.
Yeah, BTFU within half a second right now, just coming into a Rouge, which means it's almost sudden or almost certain death for the Renault coming into Lacombe as we come down through the Camel Straight.
Ben doesn't seem to be gaining enough.
Well, that overtake isn't being utilized right now in that Mercedes, and I imagine he's trying to save a little bit here. He sets another purple sector coming out of the Camel Straight. He's just so tight to the rear of that Renault right now. And speaking of Renaults, it's Ruben currently in 9th position. He's within half a second of the Red Bull. That's Gadwin in 8th.
Looks like Alex Bitter having a pretty lonely race thus far. Some 5.6 seconds ahead of Liam, who's still been able to keep this gap around 5/10 to Yoda.
Ooh,
But the ERS
BTFU.
difference between those two is quite big as BTFU. Still holding off that Mercedes for the time being. And his teammate Ruben, very, very close to Gadwin Stillstriff.
Yeah, BTFU there. He had a little bit of an issue coming down the hill. Had a little bit of a weave there. Moved over. Tried to defend a line.
Is Ben going to do it again? Is Ben going to do it again? He's looking for the outside. BTFU takes the grass a little bit. And he will, outside of Blanchimont. Didn't realize that was the next hottest thing. But it seems to be for the Mercedes driver. It's now twice he's done that move.
It is definitely twice, and Gadwin now has been overtaken by the Renault of Ruben for P8, and things have spaced themselves out to where there's very few battles going on, but one of the battles we can look at is Alpha with Adam right now. Alpha with some damage on that front end. And Adam getting through back into 11th position, and we saw Adam very far up in
Oh, here goes Yoda.
this grid.
There goes Yoda. Past Liam for that P2 place. He was just saving up his battery behind the Williams. You see the ERS disparity between those two is quite dramatic. Liam only having about 30%, whereas Yoda has 3/4 of his battery still
Right now,
remaining.
Alpha and Adam wheel to wheel on the Camel Straight right now, and you see there the front right end plate for the Ferrari is missing, but that straight line giving him the opportunity to get ahead of the Haas. We'll see how the Haas is able to respond here with a little bit more aero on the front end, and you can just see so much more traction, especially on these medium compound tires right now. Adam with a very good move back into 11th position.
Yeah, Alpha might have the straight line speed to keep up with the Haas or to make that overtake, but isn't really able to keep up with the corners due to that wing damage. It really is costing him as he gets a little bit out of shape at P1 again.
Meanwhile, Ben in P5, hunting down the Alfa Romeo. That's John in 4th. And he's not quite close enough to make the move around the outside this time, Mikhail, but he just may be able to get a dive down into the chicane, and he goes for the lunge. On the inside is the Mercedes. You can see there Jean defending on the inside reversal there, and now it's Ben the Bear and Jean wheel-to-wheel down into turn 1. As they come through
Ben going for the
LaSalle.
switchback. Ben later on the brakes, and Jean has to yield. So Ben the Bear now up to 4th place, and he has that Williams of Liam in his sights, just some 2.5 seconds ahead. But let's see, will Jean have anything to respond? He will have the DRS. Will he utilize that overtake? I don't know if he will. BTFU also staying within DRS range behind them. But no, he's not able to close up enough.
Tons of battles happening on track, Mikhail, as we were just looking at and taking a peek at Swifty. He's gearing up to get an overtake in, I think, on the racing point of Steph, so we'll switch back on over there because they are about to come up Eau Rouge, and you can see right now Swifty, a lot of battery reserve in that McLaren. He isn't utilizing any of it through this first section of the circuit, but as soon as he exits Eau Rouge, overtake a little bit of a tap, DRS now, and now he's using it on and off.
Freeway behind him is following as well. It's going to be like three-way battle between these guys. Freeway will have the inside for the start of Lake Com. Swifty goes a little bit off track there, but Freeway will get 2 and 1. Wow.
Is that Mika Hakkinen? Was that Mika Hakkinen? I swear. It was very similar, except there wasn't a back marker this time. It was just sneaking through on 2 cars ahead. I don't even think they knew he was coming. Very nicely done from the German, and he's into 14th position. Of course, yeah, Mika Hakkinen, a Finn, Freeware, a German, I understand. Of course, BTFU less than half a second to Jean now, Mikhail, as they come through the chicane.
Kana's right on their rear as well. Looks like Jean struggling to keep up with Ben the Bear. Just Ben the Bear showing so much speed. He, of course, was our pole sitter and one of the only 2 drivers to break the sub 1 minute 41 barrier. Unfortunately, the other driver, Brownie, out of this race. But it looks like Kana has a lot more speed than that Renault heading up the hill. That overtake mode is on. I don't think BTFU will be close enough to make a move on Jean. But BTFU also using that overtake in DRS. Kana getting denied the chance of an overtake. And BTFU actually pulling away slightly from the AlphaTauri when they are both using their maximum engine mode. So maybe a little bit less wing on that Renault. I'm not entirely sure, Striff, but that Renault is fast in a straight line. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, he's definitely got some speed over Kana coming down that Kemmel straight there, because Kana had a very good opportunity, but he couldn't pull the trigger, and now BTFU sticking well with Jean, and I think that was also a saving grace for him. He also had that DRS to pull him away, but he may not have it this time around. He's pulling off of Jean a little bit. His tires 1 lap older right now. Of course, there's a variety of drivers out of this race right now. Of course, Luktra, Brownie, and Vettel all very fast that I imagine would be giving us some overtaking displays right now after this dynamic race. Of course, we are just heading through the halfway point in a couple of laps time. As soon as we cross into lap 23, that's when you know we're halfway, of course. But Kana, as I said, that BTFU is pulling off of Jean. Kana has come off of BTFU quite a bit here. Then he's trying to pick up time perhaps in the chicane. Appears Jean perhaps a connection issue as well.
Yeah, it's very, very unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo. BTFU goes for the send round the outside. Jean Bot defends.
Jean Bot.
I don't know how long it's going to be as Jean actually now rejoins the session.
Well, I certainly hope he doesn't take control mid-Eau Rouge, because that would be quite bad. But of course, I think we're going to see him get control coming into this straight here. But BT may already be close enough to get the move done. Moving ahead.
Squeezing him towards that outside, but BTFU will get that move done. As Jean will resume control of his car any moment now, hopefully.
Well, he's got to do so soon, as he's now taking control of it. You can see a little bit of a lag spike there. That's Kana getting ahead of the Alfa Romeo as a result. We'll see what John's able to do now that he's back in control. They're wheel to wheel, and he's had a spin. They have both had a spin, McCown. He's going to try and get that Alfa Romeo back around. He's gotten it off the circuit as Rubens now come through. And that's going to be Gadwin behind in the Red Bull, and I think now we're going to see a battle unfold between these racers.
Steph in the other racing point, bringing that car into the pits, saying he's had enough. And so no points for the Pink Panthers today.
Otmar is going to be quite pissed, and I imagine Lawrence Stroll not going to be happy about that over there at Racing Point. Of course, figuratively speaking.
Figuratively speaking, yes. Meanwhile, Ben the Bear has closed up to the Williams of Liam. This gap's now starting to update once again. There seem to be a lot of connection issues with the Codemasters servers, which is less than ideal, but there is a massive fight for P12, Striff. I see Basically 3-4 cars within the vicinity of each other, and I get excited.
Took me a second there. My camera options were going the way of the timing tower there for a moment, but it's wheel-to-wheel action. As you see, the Ferrari and Alfa Romeo wheel-to-wheel. See a little bit of damage still on Alfa's front end, and I say Alfa, but it's Alfa in the Ferrari versus the Alfa Romeo. You just love to get those little plays on words there, Mikhail. Of course, it's Swifty, I think, out in this exchange with Freeware that are going to be the benefactors. Freeware currently hunting down, absolutely hunting down Alfa in that Ferrari.
Well, that Alfa is hunting down the Alfa as they make their way along the Camel Straight. Swifty is going to get the toe and the DRS as well at this time. And he makes the move. Looks like Freeway goes a little bit deep. Compromising his line. Through they come. They are very, very close, these two. But it looks like he'll hold on to it. And meanwhile, while those guys have been fighting, Ben the Bear has caught right back up to the rear of Liam. So we'll see what he's able to do. Alex Bitter some 8 seconds ahead now of Yoda in P2 currently. Currently under threat from these two drivers behind him. They are, all three of them are using their overtakes, Strifia. This could get intense. Ben the Bear, some 2.5 tenths behind that Williams. They made their way through Arouge and Radio, and you can just see the speed of that Mercedes. But Liam having that DRS as well, using some more of that battery, is the Mercedes of Ben. He's looking down the inside of Lake Com. Later on the brakes, but Liam's actually later on the brakes than the Mercedes, and he will hold on to that position for the time being. But Ben getting a little bit of a better run through Lake Com. And he's actually looking up down the inside of the long right-hander. He will get the move done into No Name, using all the track available, and that is Ben back into the podium places.
Yeah, and an important thing here is Ben needed to get that move done because that fighting was costing him time to Yoda ahead in that McLaren. Of course, Ben, supreme pace in this Mercedes today. Yoda already getting, well, that gap is shrinking between, of course, Ben and this McLaren of Yoda, and it's shrinking fast. And they're on the same tire life, Mick. You just see the pace in Ben right now. And, of course, he's had a couple of mishaps here in this race. He's had to come into the pits twice already.
Yep, but anything can happen. We still have half of this race to go, and those clouds are getting ever gloomier. That's even a word. We'll coin it here, gloomier.
I think we might be okay. We'll get them to put it in post race. We'll be all right. If it isn't already, of course.
We'll be fine. But it looks like Swifty still trying to hold on to this gap where the Freeway has a little bit of a slide coming out of that right-hander.
Yeah, don't blink, you might miss it, Mikhail. Ben the Bear, he is in serious striking distance, and that is Yoda now, who's going to have a very hard time to defend because, unlike the previous racers we've seen Ben come together with, Yoda, no DRS in that McLaren, however, squeezing Ben as best he can, trying to push him as hard and for as long as he can. Of course, though, Ben with a very clear overtake into second position. Now it's Yoda into third.
Yes, so Ben now has the mammoth task of catching this Ferrari ahead of him. I do believe this might be like last year or the year before. It's Mercedes versus Ferrari for that top step.
I have to say, I would be very pleased, considering the qualifying of today, to see a Ferrari come on the podium at least in some kind of Belgian Grand Prix, considering last year's fireworks. Of course, Charles Leclerc with the win. Now it is Alex Biddow's turn, but Ben the Bear is going to be climbing down that 6.8 second gap.
Got a purple sector 2, Striff.
Yeah, he's
Purple
not taking
sector
prisoners.
2.
He wants this win.
He has now cleared the traffic. He has clean air ahead of him, so he's able to stretch his legs and show us just exactly what he is capable of doing. Alex Bidow coming across the start lap 25 of this race. Currently did a 46.8. We'll see what the relative pace is of the Mercedes behind him. It's a 45.6. Wow, that is some serious pace. Of course, he did have that DRS and overtake down the Camel Straight. Using some of that overtake as well, but even still, that is some rapid pace.
It definitely is. Of course, Yoda has been dropping off a little bit here. Liam is within that 1 second range, which is going to give him DRS and an opportunity. But as long as Yoda has DRS on Ben, it's going to be troublesome for Liam, I think, to remain close to that McLaren.
Yoda doing very well to stick within that DRS range of Ben the Bear for the time being. Jean as well, trying to make his way on the Renault of Ruben, who's currently in 7th. He's doing quite well for himself, actually, there, Ruben.
"20 laps on the medium compound tires is how long he's been running on those. He's currently 2nd on the grid for longest tires on circuit. Of course, Adam on his medium compound tires has now made it 21, soon to be 22 laps. And Alpha as well on his hards.
We'll see what these drivers are able to do. Those clouds are still lurking. So I'd be a bit worried for these drivers. But it looks like no spits of rain just yet. But this grid seems to have spaced out a little bit. No really close battles. We have that one for 7th and that one for 2nd. As Yoda still holding with Ben the Bear. But that gap to Alex Bitto has now shrunk to 6.5 seconds drift. So Ben is dragging Yoda along for the ride, it would seem. Just using that DRS and slipstream to stay with the Mercedes. It's a yellow flag in sector 3. I believe that might be Finn. He has a little bit of an issue trying to get that car going again.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jean now is going to have an opportunity on Ruben here, Mikhail. It's going to be the Alfa Romeo with DRS and overtaking full swing with a very clear move on this outside line on the Renault. Ruben, not much of an opportunity to do anything about this. Of course, no DRS for him to defend.
As Ruben going a little bit out of shape through late column, so that's going to break at the DRS gap. So Jean has more than solidified that position for the time being. Meanwhile, Freeway getting past Adam down the Camel Straight. So he's now back up into 11th place after the horrific safety car restart that he had with Brownie on lap, I believe it was like lap 6, lap 7.
Yeah, it was yeah, I believe you're correct in saying that. Yes, Mikhail. Up 6 or 7 there, and it looks like Gadwin. This entire grid has been plagued with connection issues throughout this race, and we've seen a multitude of drivers disconnect through this one. Something you hate to see, but unfortunately it does happen. It's been happening a lot recently with the game since F1 2020 came out. There's been some instability, of course. Yoda still within a second of Ben, and these drivers have spread themselves out quite a bit here in this one, Mikhail. Of course, rain is still to come, and when rain comes mid-race, we know that means only one thing, Mikhail, and that is serious confusion for what tires to be on and when to get on them.
Yeah, it looks like Gadwin was able to rejoin the session, which is great to see. It doesn't seem like he's lost too much time at all.
And we were talking, of course, sorry to interrupt, Mick, but we were talking, of course, about the DRS between Ben and Yoda and how that plays in with Liam. And Liam barely hanging on to that DRS with Yoda. Now that DRS for Yoda on Ben, all the way 3 seconds in the last 2 laps on the Williams driver.
And he's doing very well in that McLaren to keep up with Ben. Ben a very fast driver, and both of them collectively are catching Alex Bitto. That gap has slowly been starting to fall. So there's actually now a fight going on between Alpha and Finn.
Hard to figure
For
out where these
the wooden
battles are
pyramid.
happening right now with all the timing. The timing tower, I don't know if it's happening on your end, Mikhail, but at the very least on our broadcast end has been resetting quite consistently. The only timing I have is for Alpha as he makes the
And he will
move.
make that move stick. Using all of that battery down the Camel Straight. Alex Bitto coming across the line to start lap 28. Gap's now 5.5 seconds. Yoda barely hanging on to DRS with everything that he's got. Looks like the gaps are fairly spread out. So not really a whole lot of battling at the moment. So Ruben just trying to get control of his car again. There's a McLaren spun around at Savalo. It's Swifty. And he has lost a great big portion of that wing.
There's so many different things happening on this grid right now, and it's so hard to follow the action with no times. Of course, I'm trying to look at the track as well on the map there.
Yoda's very close to that Mercedes. I don't know if Ben had a little bit of a mistake, but Yoda is within 3/10. Swifty, his teammate, into the pits to change that front wing after a little accident. There's so many connection issues, my goodness.
Yoda within that half a second range. Oh man, there's just not too much happening here on circuit right now, Mikhail. We're waiting for these pit stops to start. You see Swifty's come in, he's put on some softs, getting that wing changed over.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my eyes here on this McLaren MP3. He's doing very well to stay with the Mercedes. But let's see if he's able to close up enough. I don't know if Ben had some kind of mistake or his tires are falling off or what's going on. But he is gaining, and he's gaining on that Mercedes. Now the gap's 7/10 after a less than ideal exit out of the bus stop. Yoda will hold on to that DRS range 8/10 as they go through the detection point.
Yeah, Yoda's been cruising on his mediums, whereas Ben having that need to push them so much through this race. He had to make up quite a multitude of positions. Now Yoda, perhaps keeping a little bit better care now, is able to stick with him. I haven't seen somebody able to stick well with Ben like this in quite some time. Of course, we were looking for Brownie to be up there with Alex and Ben, but unfortunately his race ended early. I think there was some kind of technical problem in the car. I don't know what happened. Of course, Haas going to be taking a look as they have one car left in this race, and that's Adam, currently in 12th position. And he's running some very long tires.
Okay, back up the points. Crampy has absolutely no answers to the just straight line speed of that AlphaTauri. Freeway now back up into the points in that 10th position. And now is looking to chase down that massive gap he has to Gadwin. Speaking of, is very close to the back of Ruben in the Renault car. So a few duels happening all over the track. Currently a duel as well between Swifty and Alpha, as Swifty makes its way out of the pit lane on those fresh soft compound tires.
Yeah, unfortunately my timing tower continues to desync. Just a quick shout out. If any of the racers that left the session happen to be, I don't know. I was going to say, if they're able to rejoin, I don't know if that's causing it, but it's kind of making it difficult to follow along with this race. It keeps resetting my spectator controls, and it's been quite difficult. I'm not trying to complain, of course, but yes, Gadwin in P9. Looking at that Ruben in P8 in the Renault, of course, as we move down into turn 1.
Currently those two drivers are the only ones within DRS range, as long as Yoda just sticking with Ben the Bear. So Freeway will now set a new fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 45.0 apparently. Don't know how he's managed that one.
Well, it's now Ben the Bear ahead of Yoda by a second. We'll see if Yoda's able to dab in with that DRS range at some point here. He's just sitting on the cusp of losing it.
Yeah, he really needs to push if he wants to stay within that DRS range. He has a little bit of understeer going through that high-speed chicane. Well, I guess it's not really a chicane, just that fast right-left. But it looks like Ben's actually broken it. 1.1 seconds is now the gap. And that means that nobody on this grid is within DRS range. It's a bit sad.
Yeah, it is. Freeware currently holding on to that fastest lap. It's a 1:45 flat. And I do believe he set that time on the medium compound tires. Because we've seen Ben.
Now.
Yeah, it had to have been, given this point in the race. And we see a multitude of drivers having multiple pit stops here. See there, Ben, Ruben, Freeware, as well as Cotters and Swifty have all had to stop multiple times, as did Steph, but he's no longer here in the race, unfortunately, after he retired the car.
Still have 16 drivers left in this race. We're on lap 31 of 44. If anyone is just joining us, this is the MRL Endurance Series, round number 7 for the Belgian Grand Prix ahead of the race tomorrow. If you are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit that follow button. We do a multitude of league races throughout the week, with our next one being on Tuesday as the newly formed EU grid will take on the Principality at Monaco. So be sure to tune in for that one. That will be Tuesday at 8 p.m. BST. And yeah, just waiting for some action to happen here on the track at the moment.
I'm extremely excited for Monaco as well, as of course Gadwin now is within that second range, is still dipping his toes in with Ruben. He's dropped off a little bit, of course. Look at the tire life on a few of these racers right now. Adam, 27 laps on his medium compound tires. That is quite the distance. Of course, we still have the opportunity to see some safety car action. We have 13 to 14 laps remaining, and we're going to be seeing some rain, it looks like, at the end of this race. Of course, basing it off of the clouds.
And these clouds have been around for a while, so I'm not entirely sure if the rain's actually going to even come or not at this rate. But we are in the Ardennes Forest. Anything can happen. BTFU pulling the pin now. So he will make his way into the pits. Not entirely sure what for. His tires should still be relatively okay. I don't see a wing change of any kind, so just wanted to go on a fresh set of softs, it would seem.
Very interesting strategy with not too much of this race remaining. Who knows, maybe it won't be enough rain to go onto wet tires, and those softs could help him through to the end of this race. But the question is, where is he going to pop out now? You see the Renault of Ruben, his teammate, coming around turn 1 now, and he's actually going to slot ahead of his teammate on the faster tires, the much faster tires. Look at the tire life comparison. Of course, Ruben's been on these mediums all evening, or afternoon if you're in Belgium right now in this race. Of course, we have not too much cooking throughout this grid right now. ETFU hopefully going to be able to bring down some serious time and close some of these gaps ahead on that very fast red tire.
It looks like Swifty is also catching up to Finn as well, down in 15th place. Gadwin still hovering around that 1.1 seconds to Ruben ahead of him. BTFU has already pulled out a whole second in half a lap on those fresh softs, as you would expect. But yeah, nothing else really happening at the moment. Looks like Alex Bitter has come to lap his teammate, who himself
And the
is
Bear
on
has gone into the pit lane.
Ben, the Bear, and Yoda both going into the pits. So not entirely sure what's
Softs
going on. Maybe those
for the
wheels are
Mercedes.
dead. And the yeah, Ben the Bear putting on a fresh set of soft compound tires. Kana opting to stay out, so he will jump both of them. Now putting himself up into a podium place, as we are on now lap 33 of 44. So 2/3 of the way, not 2/3, sorry, 3/4 through the race. My goodness, I don't know how I messed that one up. But it is Gadwin now all over the rear of Ruben, who seems to have had another connection issue, judging from the red cross above his car. But looks like Gadwin, where is he going to make the move? I think he'll just take it easy going up the hill.
Godwin's already made the move on my screen, Mikhail. He's into 8th position, and that is Ruben following along with him into the Kemmel Straight, as far as what I'm seeing here on the broadcast. Of course, Yoda and Ben, there seemed to have been an issue in the pit lane as they came in quite close to one another. It's possible that Yoda may have served a penalty, considering he is very far behind Ben right now, Mikhail. Almost 3 seconds and counting.
He might have gotten held up by the Mercedes in the pit lane. That is another possibility. But aside from that, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't see any damage on that McLaren. And even if he did, that would have been some incredible driving to stay with Ben. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on. But Ben already within that second range of Kana in front. The clouds are getting ever darker still. Keep one eye on the track and keep one eye on the skies.
That's what we're looking for now, Mikhail. It's those first raindrops down into the cockpit of this Mercedes, and we'll see where we see it. I think it's coming. Who knows, maybe we won't even see any race. We don't know if it's guaranteed. Of course, we've just got what the drivers have said they've been forecasted to get. Who knows, maybe Jeff playing tricks, as I'm sure everybody knows he is more than capable of doing. Now it's Ben the Bear getting ahead of Kana very clearly. Yoda now on those fresh softs is going to be looking to tear down the gap to the AlphaTauri ahead. And it's Ruben who is pit off of these soft, or these mediums, excuse me, and he's going on to intermediate compound tires. You see the green rim around those tires, Mikhail, and that is a super early call for him.
I'm not seeing any raindrops yet.
There hasn't been any rain on circuit, and that's going to be a big struggle for the Renault. And good luck to you, Ruben, because I don't know. We saw it a couple weeks ago in China as well, with Brain Stew coming in too early on the intermediate tires, and he lost a lot of time right now. And as you can see, Adam very fast, cramping out, very fast ahead of him, and there's a bit of a lag issue as well still.
It wouldn't be Code Masters without it, I can tell you that much.
And it appears every time a driver joins the session, Mikhail, the timing tower gets nice and reset for me. So right now, all I'm seeing is Swifty with the DRS and overtake on the rear of the Red Bull. That's Finn on the inside now, wheel to wheel. Who's going to get the better exit here? You see Swifty utilizing that runoff section there. He gets the move done on Finn. Not the cleanest of moves, but
as well with a 1:43. So he is definitely using those soft tires to full effect. Yoda now as well trying to close that gap to Kana. Kana doing very well, holding on to that 4th place after the 2 ahead of him had boxed. Liam also doing quite well for himself with a 6 and a bit second gap to the Mercedes. But again, this feels starting to spread out a little bit more. Looks like Crampy's still all over this pass of Atom for the final points position. Crampy will make a move down the inside at the bus stop chicane and just gets a much better exit out of it. And yeah, we'll take that final points place at the moment.
of course, not too much going on screen as we don't have any intervals to use to update you. The one thing I can tell you is that Yoda has definitely caught up with Kana now in P4 on these soft compound tires and is going to be looking to get some more points, as that's P4 up for grabs, it would seem, ahead.
I mean, judging from when Ben and Yoda both pitted off of those mediums, I would dare say that those mediums on the AlphaTauri are not feeling the best at the moment. We'll see what Yoda is able to do and when he's able to make that move, as Codders as well is getting overtaken by Swifty into a Lacom. And he's made that move stick. So Swifty now up into 13th place as we are starting to get some intervals back, which is nice to see.
Things are tight. We have a yellow flag in Sector 3.
Yeah, it's just Alpha getting out of the way of the
I see.
out of Jean and BCFU. He's had a difficult race on those 30-lap-old hards, as Yoda will make the move on that AlphaTauri for 4th position. And Swifty is also getting past Ruben, who has really made the wrong call on these intermediate tires. He seems to be really, really struggling. That's Cotters as well, down the inside. We'll get that move done before the fast left-hander Blanchimont.
Noah Freeware getting ahead of Gadwin into 8th position. Mick out as he looks to continue to charge through this field. And yes, as you said, Ruben on these intermediate compound tires struggling, because as you see, for those of you just tuning in, we have Ruben on these intermediate compound tires, and there is absolutely no rain coming down, but I don't know if he is in control of that car anymore. And he
Certainly
is.
hope he is. But I'm seeing
now.
a few drops. I'm running on board with Freeware at the moment, just seeing how things are going, and there is rain in Sector 2. So, not entirely sure what the situation on the tires is going to be, or if it's even showing up on the stream for you, Striffian, but I'm seeing a few drops of rain now.
Yeah, I see. I'm on board with Adam right now. He's within a second of Crampy, and it's Cotters on some very old hard compound tires within a second of Swifty as well. There's a few battles folding, and one of them is going to be Liam and Ben the Bear. Liam in P2 right now under serious threat. That's Ben. Coming up through Eau Rouge now. DRS overtake coming out of Radion, and now through the Kemmel Straight we go, and he's made it clear ahead of that Williams.
That he has. But I don't know if this rain is going to be enough to warrant everyone to switch onto those intermediate tires.
Gonna be a serious gamble.
Lap 37 of 44. So if my calculation's correct this time, we'll have 7 laps remaining once Alex Bitto crosses the start-finish line. I hope that's correct.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we are having these guys just tough it out on those dry tires. And I don't know if we're going to see the switch to intermediates or not.
Yeah, unfortunately, a couple technical issues. Looking to just get back into the session here. We've lost connection here on the broadcast.
Grampy is in the pits. He's come out on intermediate tires in 12th place. Cotters and Finn into the pits as well. They are both fitting on the intermediate tires. The rain has just picked up drastically over the Ardennes. Alex Bitto opting to stay out, as does Ben the Bear. But Liam, though, in that 3rd place, diving into the pits. Will Yoda do the same? Yes, he will. Yoda doing the same, doing the same as well. And this rain is picking up at a rate of knots, Striffium. Could this be the wrong call for our top 2? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I think it's going to be very difficult.
Everyone behind them going into the pits on the intermediates.
I think this is going to be very difficult for Alex Bitto. He's on 25 lap-old mediums. There's very little grip left on these tires, I believe, and he's going to be sliding through in these wet conditions. Another driver to look at is Adam. He's in the Haas, and he's on 33 lap-old mediums. He's got it even worse than the Ferrari, and you can see him struggling now. And the big question is, Alex Bitto is going to be losing a ton of time right now, as is Ben, to these drivers on these wet compound tires. You just see how much he's struggling on these worn tires. Ben's not gaining any time either, not at the speed that he should and could be on softs, but the rain here has come down hard and fast, and I imagine it looks like it might pick up. And where have we got that yellow flag? It's Swifty, and he's had an issue. His car's around, and he's on dry tires as well, and it looks like things very wet in that section of the circuit.
Yeah, so all these guys on dry tires just trying to limp it back to the pits.
It is pouring down, Mikkel. It is absolutely coming down right now, and it's Alex Bitto coming through Blanchimont, and you can just see the rain. It's starting, and those clouds are getting much darker.
You can just see that he can't stop the car in time. Swifty goes extremely deep. And it looks like there's been a coming together with Cotters as well.
Well, this is Liam now who's going to have a good opportunity. We'll have to see where he slots in behind these two. As Ben
Liam has
is in.
gained like 4 seconds. 4 seconds that lap. And the tyres aren't ready for the Ferrari boys. The tyres weren't ready. So Alex Bitto was left stranded there. I don't know if that's going to cost him or not. Liam is coming down that main straight now.
It is going to cost him, Mick. I think it's going to cost him here at the very least. He's going to get Ben.
He's going to get Ben. But Alex Bitto, very fortunate to get out ahead of what is. Ben the Bear, you can see that Williams just saw past him. And that staying out 1 extra lap has really, really cost him. Now 1.1 seconds is the gap, and Ben getting very, very out of shape there.
And now the weather dynamic through Eau Rouge is into play, Mick. Big time. I
suspect that most of these drives will be on dry setups. So with the rain pouring down as it is and the low downforce that you need to run at a place like Spa-Francorchamps, these guys are going to be really, really struggling. Even on those intermediate compound tires. As Alpha's had it off at Blanchimont, it would seem as well, and we have a virtual safety car. So not a full one, like I was sort of hoping, but we have a virtual safety car. 5 laps from home.
Fingers were crossed, I think, Mick, for a lot of these people to get that full safety car and have an absolute launch down through for sudden death racing here in Spa. I think everybody watching along after the drawn out middle section of this race may have really wanted to see it. Of course, the wet dynamic now coming into role here is going to separate some of these racers. Right now it's Finn and Cotters fighting into the chicane here. They're the closest gap on circuit, and this is a fight for 13th. But of course, look at how severe the rain has gotten here, and I just want to quickly take a moment. Thank you, Mr. Dirk Chocolate, for the raid. Welcome to the Chocolate Factory. Of course, you are tuning in to the MRL Endurance Series.
Got no penalty under the virtual safety car, and there was one more, I believe, as well. I'm just going to check that, and it was Swifty as well with the drive-through penalty, according to the race director. So that is absolute disaster for the McLaren boys, and Yoda
not going to be happy about that.
But Swifty will go into the pits this lap to serve that drive-through. Well, there's nothing really else to lose for Swifty after that little spin that he had. But Alex Bitto really seemed to struggle over Eau Rouge and Radion. It's more Radion than Eau Rouge, I believe. But what absolute calamities at the end of this race. And there's still a battle going on for this P11 spot, Striff. Atom is still quite close to the back of Ruben. See if he's able to do anything. Oh, but they understeer into the wall.
Oh, that was close. That was close. He managed to get it turned around to brush the wall there.
That was way too close for comfort. That has lost him a lot of time, though, to the Renault driver.
Yeah, and speaking of time, Alex Bitto pulling away from Liam, and Ben the Bear being overtaken by that Williams. Into second position is Liam, and he is not too far at the rear of the Ferrari, but he does have Ben coming along. Ooh, and he's not going to be able to keep Ben at bay if he keeps sliding there. You can see conditions are very wet here coming out of that section.
Careful, Liam. You're in a good spot, my friend. Don't bin it now. 3 laps from home. Or 4 laps from home, I should say, once Alex crosses the line. But these top 3 are actually, I believe, some of the closest that we have on the circuit at the moment, which is unusual to say the least. Considering just the amount of pace that Alex Bitto and Ben had in the dry. But the strategy masterclass from Liam has brought him right into contention for this podium. And the Bear now 6/10 behind the Williams. We'll see if he's able to close that gap even further as they make their way up Eau Rouge. Ben has that overtake on, but he manages to hold it. That takes some real bravery right there.
Well, that
Ben
could
the
have
Bear
been
now gaining,
it
he's
for
gaining,
him.
he's gaining. He looks to the outside. Liam defending with everything he has. We are 4 laps from the end, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fight for P2 in this race. They're still side by side, heading through the Lecom section, and Ben the Bear will get past that Williams driver to retake his P2. Only a few laps from home.
Things are so dark, you can really see it on board with Liam as Ben has made his way. Now has to charge ahead if he wants to get this win. Of course, Alex Bitto, 2.5 seconds is the gap now, as we've had everything get updated.
Ben's made a mistake. Ben's made some kind of mistake. They're going through Pure, and Liam's right on the back of him once again. Is he able to find the traction he needs? I don't know, but that mistake has cost the Mercedes about a good half a second at least. To the Ferrari in first place. He puts that overtake mode on again. That's really scaring me, Strip. I don't know about you, but running that overtake in conditions like these, through those high-speed corners with the low downforce, my goodness.
Yeah, Liam, not a lot of options on the menu for him at the moment, and he's really just got to do what he can. Ben right now showing great pace on these intermediate tires in these very wet conditions. I almost think it could have been time for wets at this point, but of course the drivers on circuit with a better idea what's going down there. Of course, now Ruben currently in P11. He's hunting down a final points position here in Crampy. Crampy's currently running in that other Williams in P10 at the moment, and I imagine any Williams fans currently tuning in would be happy to see a Williams double points finish. Alex.
That was very close. He tried to push El Rouge and Radion just a little bit too much, and the rear stepped down him. He was able to catch it with some great reactions, but that would have certainly scared the Spaniard, I'm sure.
Yeah, it could have been it, and over for him. Ben the Bear right now. You saw last time we came through this section of the circuit, it was almost 3 seconds the gap after he had that incident with Liam or whatever caused him to drop back, but now it's 2 seconds. And we have realistically 2 laps to go here. Now it's Liam. He's had a disconnection issue, which is something you hate to see, and I imagine when he gets back in we're going to lose our timing tower, but of course we want to see him get back in. He's currently running in 3rd, and he has a solid gap to Kana at the moment. AI will take control, and it won't drop him like a stone as you'll see in a regular open lobby, as the AI is set to a certain level to avoid any kind of issues. But it's John within a second of Yoda, as Yoda has pit again, and I believe that was his 3rd pit stop. Yes, it is.
Drive-through, yeah. So Yoda now in 6th, down from 4th, so not crazy horrible, but still it was less than ideal, and it's certainly not what the Albanian wanted, only a few laps from the end. Alex Bitter coming through the final corner now to start the penultimate lap of this race. We're on lap 43 of 44 now, ladies and gentlemen. And Ben the Bear has had a connection issue as well.
Oh no, and that is most certainly going to be frustrating for the Thai driver, as he was hunting down a very tight gap to Alex ahead, and of course we'll look to get him back into the session as quickly as we can. He is back. We'll see when he takes control of the car, as I'm sure there will be a lag spike of some kind when he does. Alex Bitto right now, I believe this gap has increased to around 3 seconds presently. Of course, we'll get a full-blown update when these drivers cross the line, as both your 2nd position driver, and it looks like, yeah, he's taken himself out of this race. Yeah, he's taken himself out of this race. You hate to see it on the penultimate lap of a race, but I guess he just didn't want to finish, so he's into the wall. Didn't look like the AI there. Of course, we'll talk to him post-race, but yeah, hate to see it. It could have been a lag, a rubber band, I don't know. We'll have to look at footage. You hate it, but now Yoda into P5, and you never know what may happen in these races. That's going to promote a good chunk of these drivers into positions they might not have otherwise had.
Yeah, so Alex Bitto has now a very nice gap to Liam in P2. Kana has now made his way onto the podium with that little mistake there from Ben. We'll get into it after the race, of course. But there's a yellow flag in Sector 2. That's Finn, I do believe. playing around in the gravel, trying to stay well clear of the leaders. He's now going a lap down. And he's lost that front wing as well. So not too sure what happened to the Red Bull driver. I'm sure we'll see in a bit. But Alex Bitto now coming across the line to start the final lap of this race. We've made it 43 laps thus far. We are now on lap 44 of 44, ladies and gentlemen. Alex Bitto currently with an 8.2 second gap to Liam in that Williams. Ferrari and Williams on the podium. I don't know what year this is, but we'll take it as it comes. And Kana in the Alpha Tauri, currently holding on to that final podium place. BTFU in the Renault squad, some 5 seconds behind him in fourth. Yoda, after that unfortunate drive-through, is now sitting in 5th place. As now I've had a connection issue myself, so that's great.
That is always lovely. Hopefully the host will migrate properly here as we are on the final lap of this race. Of course, Crampy and Adam battling it out for this final points position. So connection issues unfortunately plaguing this race and affecting all of the racers, and including the host and myself throughout this one. So it's been a very dynamic connection-based race. Lag spikes, rubber banding, crashes, you name it, we've had it. Rain, VSCs, safety cars, drama. Welcome to F1 2020, where the overtaking is exciting and the issues are even more upsetting. Of course, Adam currently less than a second separating him with Crampy. As we are on the final lap of this race, you see nobody has been lapped with the exception of apparently Finn, who is 41 laps down according to our timing tower. Just goes to show some of the issues we've been dealing with. But it is going to be Alex Bitto, as you see here, crossing through out of that final chicane, and he is going to be taking that checkered flag, and it's Liam following through with him in the Williams, coming across 2nd place here, and it's the Alpha Tauri of Kana finishing through here in Spa for round 7 of the MRL Endurance Series in 3rd. So that is your podium: Alex Bitto, Liam, and Kana. A Ferrari, excuse me, as Kana has been overtaken on apparent penalties, with BTFU slotting into the podium position. Wow. Okay then. So Yoda in 5th. And what a shakeup there at the end. You can see the gap difference, 0.085 at the end of this race. So BTFU getting him on penalties by just less than a 10th. Oh, and that is going to sting.
That is definitely going to hurt. But congratulations to all our podium finishers. Very, very dynamic race, both on the weather and connection front. So certainly had to keep your wits about you through that one. But what a crazy and exciting race nonetheless. It's Spa, so Spa never disappoints. But good job to these drivers.
Yeah, what a race it's been. Ruben and Adam now going to be coming home to cross the line. Ruben in 9th. Adam, who's going to get it in that 10th position? It looks like Crampy going to cross ahead of him. Cotter is the final driver to finish this race here. Of course, we began this race with 20 drivers on the grid. We're finishing it with 14. It should have been 15 there. Ben the Bear, unfortunate issues, perhaps finishing his race. And Cotter's crossing that line into 12th position, and that is going to round off officially now with the last driver taking the checkered flag. Round 7 of the MRL Endurance Series. Of course, we'll be back next week. It's going to be Monza for the MRL Endurance Series, a 100% race around Circuit de Monza, and I imagine everybody's going to want to see that.
Yeah, that's going to be a crazy, crazy race at Monza, especially if it rains as hard as it did in 2008 with, Sebastian Vettel and his famous win for the Toro Rosso squad. But we're yet to see what the weather's going to be like for next week. But congratulations to all our podium finishers and all the finishers in general for this long and really, really dynamic race. Well done to all.
Well done to Alex Bitto as well. in that Ferrari for the win, but not only the win of this race, but he has won 3 of the endurance races in a row now. I believe we saw him last week win, of course, in, well, not last week, 2 weeks ago now. We had a week off last week. I believe it was Spain, and the week ahead of that in Brazil. So
yeah, very, very well done for the Spanish driver. He seems to be on fire at the moment with his current form. We'll see if that can be shaken up a bit at Monza. You never know.
You do never know.
That's just how racing goes sometimes. So,
of course, if you're tuning in along with us, we are going to be rating somebody in just a moment here. Of course, we're just going to talk you through one real quick thing. This week coming, we have tons of racing action. It is going to be Monaco. We have 4 races around Monaco coming up this week. We have one on Tuesday. That's at 2 p.m. CDT, 8 p.m. BST. That is the newly minted MRL EU grid for round 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, Thursday, we have 2 races for you, with Tier 2 kicking off the action at 9:15 p.m. BST, which is, of course, 3:15 CDT. And then we have Tier 1 action following that 2 hours later at 5:15 p.m. CDT, with 11 p.m. BST on that one as well. And then Friday action, we're back at 2 p.m/8 p.m. BST for all of those of you going on BST for the MRL Club grid. And like I said before, we are going to be back next Saturday for another 100% Endurance Series race around none other than the iconic Temple of Speed, Monza. Now, any last words, Mikhail?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all there. I think that was that dynamic race was quite exciting, personally. And yeah, just, you know, massive respect to all the drivers who put their lives on the line in the real world of motorsport. We've seen the tragedies that can happen, and this race dedicated towards the great life of Anthoine Hubert, who tragically lost his life last year at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. So heavy hearts, heavy minds, but we press on, and that was a great race nonetheless.
Great race indeed. Of course, guys, we're going to head on over and raid a driver who we did get to see for a brief opportunity today, but unfortunately things not going the way for the German. We're going to raid none other than, of course, Brownie. And of course, head on over there, hit him up. He's a very fast guy. Of course, ask him how his race went, what happened. Maybe he'll have a clip for you. We're going to head on over there and raid. But before we do that, of course, it's time for the usual outro.